Hi there, this video is going to look at the editor. If you click on the gear icon anywhere you find it on the various blocks on your site, you'll be typically taken to an edit box that looks something like this. Sometimes this is used for page content, sometimes this is used for descriptions for various items, but it always functions the same way. It's WYSIWYG, what you see is what you get, HTML editor. That works much the same way as a word processor does. I can simply click and start typing. Whoops. And by selecting text, I can apply certain formatting, bold and italic and underline and so forth. There's a little bit of formatting capabilities displayed on this bar, perhaps not as much as you'd find in something like Microsoft Word, but enough that you should be able to create most of the styles that you'll need for some fairly detailed looking, interesting looking text. There are some fonts that you can choose. You can change the size of your text to a certain degree, and you can change, as I said, the bold and the subscript and superscript using these, the alignment, left, center, and right, and its color, simply by clicking a different color from the drop-down box there. As you can see, I've already got a list here. I'll show you how to get something like that if you simply start typing. Test 1, 2, 3 by selecting a different rows or lines of text and clicking the bullet button here. I can turn any text into a list, and if I use these hierarchical indent or unindent buttons, I can add sections of text that are either in or out of a list. So indented lists like that. If you'd like it to be numbered instead of simply bullet, that button there will do it. You can see now I have nested numbered lists that will automatically number themselves. And if I click this button out, it takes it to the next item in my bulleted list, or in my numbered list. If you find that this working space is too small, down in the bottom right corner you should be able to click and drag that window to make it bigger for you. In fact, if you'd like to make it full screen, this button right here will take the editor to a full screen and back again when you click off it. One of the things people often want to add in their pages are links to other sites or other aspects of their course site. And this is simple enough to do simply by typing some text first, then selecting that text and clicking on this link button. It looks like a little piece of chain. I click on it and I'll get a pop-up that will go through some detail. The easiest way to make that a link is to simply type in the URL including the http:// of the site you'd like to go to. I'll just use Google for a simple example. And I'd like to open it in this window and frame. So remembering those two settings, let's insert that. And if you can see, this text has actually turned a purple color now. So when I save these changes, that is a link. This was the text that I was editing. I would like this text to be a link to Google. And notice it's highlighted differently. Given the style that I'm using, all links in this style will use this orange text. So if I click on it, it simply takes me to Google. So I can use that technique to create links to any part of the internet on my site just by typing text, selecting that text, and making it a link. Now after it's a link, notice this button is still active. If I put my cursor in it, I can change it to be something different just by clicking on the button again. Now I can go change it to some other site, and this time I'm going to have it open in a new window. And we'll show you the difference if we save these changes now. Now if I click on this text, in my browser it actually opens up a fresh window to Yahoo, or a fresh tab, and I've still got my site open in the background. And that's a good option if you don't want people to necessarily have to leave your site in order to see the new link. Another thing people often want to add to their pages are pictures. And there are a couple ways we can do that. First off will be a picture that I own. I'll click on this Insert Picture link. Sorry, that was a little picture of a tree here. And I will upload an image from my own computer to the course site. So I've clicked on Upload, and I'll choose the file. Let me do a nice simple test picture that I have here. Upload the file. And it shows me that yes, that's the right picture, my little forklift guy. I'll insert that, click OK, and now it is in my the page that I'm editing. Now if I want it to be a bit smaller, which in this case I do, I can select it, and notice I get these little handles around the image. And I can drag that to make it the size I'd like it. And if I wanted to, I can put it in different parts of the text. I can put it before or after little bits of text. Now in HTML, moving images around is a little bit tricky. So it does take some practice to get images and text exactly where you'd like them. There are some ways that you can help formatting that by going to the Appearance tab. And in fact, in this case, the alignment is what I want to change. I want the image to be aligned to the left side of the page. And you see this little preview of what it's going to look like with the text wrapping around it. If instead I would like it to be on the right side of the page, the text would wrap around it this way. In fact, I like that better, so let's go with that. And you'll see what happens when I click OK. The image goes to the right, and if I add text, it wraps around the image. And if I increase the size of the image, the text flows around it. Now that was one way to get an image into the editor. Here's another. If I click on Insert, I can actually use images right off the internet. If I go find or upload an image again and look at, for example, Wikimedia, I can search for pictures that might be built in to Wikimedia or that have been uploaded to Wikimedia. And let's take a nice cat picture. And I will select this file. I can either make a copy or I'll just link to the file directly. And this is what I wanted to show you, that the image URL, that is to say the link to that particular image on the internet, gets copied into the editor there. And I click Insert, and there it is. Now this is a very large cat picture, so I'm going to shrink it a little bit so that it fits on my page. And there it is. And in this case, I would like to format that again using the appearance. I'll set that to left so that text wraps around it in that way. So now I have the text floating in between my two pictures. All of this can be saved, of course, and it should show up in a little bit compressed manner on my main title block here. If I want to change it, which I probably would given its spacing at the moment, I click on the Edit button again, and I'm right back in here. If I want to simulate what it's going to look like, I do need to be aware of the fact that browsers sometimes shift their size. Not everybody has the same screen or the same browser settings. So planning for particular layouts can be complicated in HTML. It's often the safest bet is to go for a simpler style layout rather than trying to complicate things with a lot of images placed in very specific places. It's hard to guarantee that it will look the same on everybody's computer. If you feel that you want to play a little bit more with the actual HTML code that's being edited here, there is an HTML source button that you can click and insert code that you type yourself or that you find on the internet. You can paste it directly in here and simply update it and it will show up. There is as well a spelling check feature that will help highlight anything that is spelled incorrectly, like most of my text here. Lastly, there is a table editor that I'd like to show you. If you ever want to edit text in a grid format, and in this case I'm going to maximize their view so that I can see more. The table editor is a handy way to do it. That allows you to insert a grid of a certain number of columns and a certain number of rows. Let me do a 3-column by 2-row grid, and I'll simply insert it. You'll see that there are other details there that you can set before you insert it, but for the time being I'll just put that in. And this gives me a grid, and you can see very faintly those lines that I can type text into and space it out either automatically or by resizing it manually. Generally speaking, text in tables will automatically size. But for creating columnar type text that flows in a grid shape, this is one of the more convenient ways to do it. Let me get out of full screen views. I'll save those changes. And you can see it's created in this case because I made my table too big. It's off to the side of the page. But if I go back in and edit that and make it a bit smaller, I'll be able to shift the size of it down to something that fits nicely on my page. And there we are. So now anywhere you see this editing box, you'll understand that there are ways that you can format text, you can insert images, you can insert tables, and you can edit the HTML code directly.